everyone. Welcome back to
the Spicy Bookish Podcast
with me, Nikita,
and me, Tia,
also known as Ginger and Spice. That's a way better intro than what we used to have.
What did we used to say?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to
the Ginger and Spice Podcast. I did my jazz hands.
And you did jazz hands.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Pretty samey.
Yeah. Okay, this podcast is our reading wrap-up for February. We're actually recording this a week early, so a week before the month has ended. And that is because over the course of the next week, we are basically exclusively only reading Zodiac Academy.
Oh, I'm absolutely dreading it.
So technically, I mean, I don't know if we'll get through all of the rest of the books. We've got 4 books left.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get through all of them, but if we did, it would be 4 books. Our wrap-up would technically be 4 books more than whatever we say today.
Yes.
But who actually really gives a shit? Not me.
No one cares.
So obviously we did a Valentine's podcast, and Tia and I both read a lot of books for Valentine's. So most of the books that we read in February actually probably were centered around Valentine's.
Yep. Yeah, they were.
We have read one Zodiac Academy book, and then since Valentine's, we've both kind of gone off and read our own things, a few of our own books. We had our 12 for 12s to cover, which we'll go over as well today. So actually, we're not left with that many books to discuss today, which is great because it means that we can have a less rushed talk about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we don't actually have any books today to discuss together.
No.
We don't have any of the same books, so that's going to be a different one. What we're going to do is Tia's going to go over how many books she read in February, and then you're going to give us a list of the ones that you're going to talk through in today's podcast.
Yes.
And then I'm going to do the same, and then we're going to make a start. In the middle somewhere, we're going to have a cake break, and we'll have a little chat about something or other. I'm sure we'll find something to talk about. Have we got is there anything in our snack box?
No. We might have to just have some whatever's in there.
I can't remember if we said this when we did our first podcast in the studio, but we have a snack cupboard. So we obviously have a wine chiller for people that aren't watching. We have a wine chiller, but we also, next to the wine chiller, we do have a snack cupboard, and there's 2 big boxes full of snacks, and we put them in there at the beginning of last month or middle of last month when we did the studio.
Yeah, there's just rubbish stuff left. You know, like the stuff that looked good.
It's like the bounties of the celebration box.
Yeah. So there's like popcorn. There's basically air in there. That's it.
Yeah.
It's all air.
Shit
Some
snacks.
lollipops. Yeah.
Might have a lollipop. Might have a little lollipop later.
Oh, a little lollipop
For a change. Yeah. Why not? So we'll have a snack from the snack box if there's anything we can rustle up from in there. Get a drink top up maybe. We call it a cake break because that's just what we've decided that's what we're going to call it.
Maybe we should actually get some cake to have in said cake break.
Yeah.
Later on down in the line.
Yeah. It all stemmed from Zodiac Academy, as most of you probably know, a Kipling cake break. Mm-hmm. And now it's just sort of stuck into all of the pods, so we just have a cake break in the middle.
Absolutely no need for us to
do
it.
We think today's topic of conversation is going to be wanting to bottle up certain feelings. Wishing you could bottle up a feeling and sell it. We were talking about this earlier, and we were like, oh, let's talk about that in the pod. So also, when we get to that point, if you have any feelings that you experience, you know, like the feeling you get when you smell fresh grass, freshly cut grass.
Oh, that is
the
beautiful.
way it makes you feel immediately like summer and calm, and like you could bottle that feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Bloody lovely.
Stuff like that. But I've got one specific one that I was just thinking about myself the other day, and I randomly said it to you earlier, and we were like, oh, we should talk about that in the pod actually.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that on our not cake break, and then we'll finish our books, tell you what next week's pod's going to be, and then we're going to go on our merry way.
Yeah, baby.
I hope these pods haven't become boring, guys. I feel because we follow the same pattern each time, and like we've said before, we don't really watch other podcasts.
I
have no idea what we're actually supposed to be doing.
We just throw some words at you.
Yeah, we just come in here and just do our thing,
just
really.
say some stuff.
Yeah, whatever rolls off the tongue.
Talk about some spicy things.
Yeah, and hope you like it. Yeah. Okay, should we get started? So do you want to go first?
Yes! Okay, so I did 21 books in February, and I had a bloody fantastic time. A lot of them were very spicy. So the ones I'm going to talk about today, we have got Dirty Ties by Pam Godwin, One Night Scandal by Katelyn Taylor, Twisted Games by Eva Ashwood, Such a Dirty Girl by Effie Campbell, and the piece de resistance of my whole month, Chasing the Fire by Paisley Hope.
Oh, nice.
I'm fucking buzzing about talking about that.
That's not out yet either, is it?
No.
Will it be out by the time this pod goes live?
No.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We got it. Well, yeah, we both got one, didn't we?
Yeah.
When we were at the Evermore 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
We got it there. So thank you so much to Evermore because it's allowed Tia to read it before it's out. And you have a lot to say about it. You've got strong feelings about that one, don't you?
Oh, I've got strong feelings about Ashwood.
Yeah.
Very, very strong.
I actually haven't read the one before this, Free in the Wild.
That was also very good.
I haven't read that one yet. So I've actually got that in my list to read in Cowboy Week.
Oh, nice.
So I am going to do that in Cowboy Week, just so I can feel like I'm a little bit more on track with the series, because in Paisley we trust.
We do.
Okay, I'll go through mine. So in February, I read 19 books. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I wish that was actually less. I keep saying I want to read less books, and then somehow I still just end up reading too many books. So I do need to work on being a bit more thoughtful about the books I'm choosing to read and taking my time reading them and not over-consuming. I know that over Valentine's, I was like, oh my God, like I'm having such an amazing time. Give me all the books. And I just rolled with it. And that was great. I don't regret it. But in all honesty, I do still feel like it's still too many books for me, even though a lot of them were novellas, which again is fine. But I'm going to try and aim for less books next month, even if it's like 17 or 15.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just drop that down just a little bit to something that I feel like is just more manageable, and just picking books, especially picking my 12 for 12s, they have to be a priority. Zodiac is a priority, and then Dartmoor Penitentiary is a priority, and then thinking about the books I want to read outside of that, rather than just picking any old thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
And some weeks, you know, for the pods and stuff, we do have themes. So we've got a cowboy theme coming up. We did have a dark romance theme plugged in for some point soon, but I think we've moved that around. We've got a Why Choose theme coming up as well.
Daddy!
We've got a Daddy's theme coming
back,
up.
baby.
Daddy and Why Choose is always really popular. Actually, Daddy, Why Choose and Cowboy are probably our most popular themes. I think that's probably what our audience likes the most, to be honest. So during themed weeks, obviously we pick a handful of books that we want to read that we can talk about on the pod. Inevitably, during those weeks, there is going to be like, 3 or 4 books, maybe more. But I'm going to work on it. It's a work in progress to get these books down.
You do you, boo. You do you.
So 12 of those 19 books were Valentine's related. One of them was Zodiac Academy, and the rest I am going to talk about today. 2 of them were my 12 for 12s. So the books I'm going to talk about today are Grave Matter by Karina Halle.
Halle. I'm going Halle.
Whispers in the Dark and Circle of Freaks by Delilah Crow. These are technically 2 separate books, but they're also technically a duet. I'll explain more when I get to it. Daggermouth by HM Wolfe. This, I cannot even, I simply cannot even with that book. Oh my fucking God. And then my 2 12 for 12s, my 12 for 12 physical / eyeball book was Doughty Brothers by Samantha Barrett, and my 12 for 12 audio book was Sweet Berries by CM Nascosta. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated with these a little bit because they're 2 quite short books, and they were intentional because I got to the end of the week and was like, shit, I haven't done my 12 for 12 for February. And the whole point of the 12 for 12 was to clear off the TBR and not just constantly be going into new stuff all the time. So I committed to it. I was like, no, I've made the commitment. I'm going to do it. So I made the time to get them done. And I'm glad I did, because I had a good time actually with both of them for very, very fucking different reasons, let me just say. But yeah, I'll get into them. I'll probably do my 12 for 12s first, I reckon. Are you going to do your 12 for 12 first?
Yeah, I could do my 12 for 12 first.
What was your 12 for 12?
My 12 for 12 physicals, I did Axes and O's and I did Twisted Games. So I spoke about Axes and O's in the Valentine's one. So I'm doing Twisted Games today. But I've also done Dove and Game Changer. So I've done Dove and Game Changer, both on audio. I'm not going to talk about either of those today because I've already got a Paizo one in and I have nothing to say about Game Changer.
You could do Dove, I guess, if you wanted to. You could do a quick little Dove chat.
Nah.
Okie dokie.
Well, because now I'm putting my all into Chasing the Fire.
We forgot to mention the drinks that we've got today. So we actually do not have an alcoholic beverage, even though if you're watching on video, it is in a champagne flute. Now, actually, these champagne flutes were in a PR box from Ali Fisher.
Yeah.
who is the author of the book club series. So like Imogen's story, Sarah's story, etc. We've read that whole series. And these flutes are stunning. She actually hunted high and low for these so that they would match our wine glasses that everybody seems to love. So we keep them in the studio now. And I think this is the first time we're using them in our pod. So the drink inside is actually a cloudy lemonade.
I've got an apple and pear.
Yeah.
Sparkling apple and
Can
pear.
I smell it?
Yeah. Get it in your schnoz. Schnoz away.
Oh, it smells a bit like an appetizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine just tastes like cloudy lemonade because that's what it is. Where did you buy these?
Amazon.
Oh, so these are from the Zon. So we just keep them in our LOL. We also have another fridge, like a separate fridge in here as well, which we keep all of these like tins and cans, and so we'll put like Cokes and Red Bulls. I don't have the Red Bull, but you do. Yeah. And then I mainly drink the full fat Cokes. I think we kind of have them for a bit of a sugar boost.
Yeah,
don't we?
Sometimes we need that little rush.
Yeah, and then we keep our Dairy Dunkers in the fridge as well.
Oh! Might have a half-time Dairy Dunker.
Oh yeah, a cake break. I'll have a Dunker.
Dunker break.
Oh, nice. Yeah, a Dunker break and a cloudy lemonade top-up. Nice.
Beautiful.
So yeah, no alcoholic beveraginos today. For no other reason than we just didn't feel like it.
No.
Did we?
Do you know when I will feel like it though? When I'm going through ZA.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
That's going to be a long old day.
It might actually make it pretty fun if we just get drunk before we do the tandem raid.
Oh, I could do.
Yeah. We'll come on the pod and try and talk about it and be like, I remember nothing.
But I had a great time.
Yeah. Do you want to start us off?
Yes. Okay, so I'll start by talking about Twisted Games by Eva Ashwood. So I said before that I was really excited about reading this one because I did Filthy Rich Santas, which is by the same author, Why Choose, Very Spicy. And I was like, I'm in for a bit of this. So I was like, I'm going to put this one on my 12 for 12. And I'm really glad I did because I had a whale of a time. So it kind of started off a little bit slow, but I think it's because this is when I was in my hole. So anyone that follows us on other socials, I was in a big hole.
You were in a slump. You were in a hole.
I was in a hole.
Yeah.
I was in a big hole.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone call it.
I'm pretty sure I called it a hole, didn't I?
I don't know. I'm in a reading hole.
I was in a hole. I was in a hole.
A big,
and I didn't know how to get out of it.
Empty, gaping hole.
I was in a massively gaping hole. It's so rough. Hence why I was then going after a load of novellas. And such a Dirty Girl was the one that actually got me out of said hole in the end. So I was kind of like in a crossover where I was reading Twisted Games and doing novellas at the same time. Anyway, so Twisted Games ended up being really good. So I actually gave it 5 stars and I gave it 3.5. It's book 1 of 4 and I will definitely be continuing the series. I've actually bought the physical for the next book because I'm excited. My eyeballs need more. So quick rundown on this one. So we've got Willow who's at college and she can't pay for her tuition. So they come to her and they say, look, you're going to get kicked out unless you find some cashish moone. She actually works in like a strip joint, but not as a stripper. So she works like behind the bar. And her boss says to her, look, if you want to sell your V-plates, yeah, it was pretty fucking dark. If you sell your V-plates, I know a woman that can do it, and then you've got cash for your tuition. Sorry, I realised I just came out with that, like, yeah, that's normal. So that's like the plot line with her. So then you've got the 3 MMCs. We've got Malice, Ransom, and Victor. So Malice and Victor are twins, and then Ransom is the younger brother. They are trying to get revenge because there's a bloke that's out there who murdered their mum. And their mum was like the nicest person in the world. So they're then trying to hunt down this guy. And of course, the guy that they're looking for ends up being the guy that she's about to lose her virginity with in this brothel. So just as the guy's about to go in, they come storming in and they basically like torture him. And she's there like, what the fuck is going on? And they end up killing him. I mean, it was great because I was like, God. Honestly, when she was nearly going to do that with this Russian bloke, I was like, I don't know if I can deal with this for her. Because it was sad. Anyway, so then they start threatening her because they're like, she's sinned too much. Like, she knows that we've just killed this person. So they had to like set a light to the brothel and it was all going off and all this stuff. Anyway, so they tell her like, you've got to quit your job. And she was like, well, I can't do that because I need money for my tuition. So they end up like giving her loads of money. But then all of this like stuff just like starts happening and obviously they all start falling for her. And yeah, it all just massively unfolds from there. And it was really, really great.
It sounds really good.
It was really, really good. So Victor is the one that's kind of like, he's like a whiz, computer whiz, and he doesn't really get involved with her. He just watches her from afar. Malice is like the horrible one, the grumpy, horrible one, but he is like obsessed with her. And then Ransom is the golden retriever, who I obviously would be in love with, who, again, is obsessed with her. But she ends up moving in with them because she can't pay for, like, her apartment. And then the people that are after her and after them, they know who she is. And it's, honestly, it's utter carnage. It was totally wild.
So is the rest of the books in the series, are they a continuation of this, or are they interconnected standalones?
No, so it's a continuation.
Oh, wow.
So it ended on a
cliffhanger.
Yeah, of course it did. Of course it did. So I have actually got a favourite scene, because why not? Oh, I've got two, apparently. That's exciting. So she sleeps in bed with Ransom because they've only got 3 bedrooms. And she was like, I'll just take the sofa. And they're like, no, you will sleep in bed with one of us because we've got to protect you. So she picks Ransom, the golden retriever. Lovely. The way that this scene unfolded, I genuinely thought it was all happening. And I was like, oh my God, like sweating. So in her dream, Ransom is doing her. But it was like the way that it was like so heightened. And then as he's doing her, the other 2 guys walk in and they're just stood like watching it all unfold. And it was all like hot and sexy and it was delicious. And then she woke up in like a cold sweat. And then Ransom's like,
are you all right?
You all right? Like, what was that about? She's like, yeah. And she doesn't know what to say. She's all flustered. And then he just like comes onto her and he's like, what was it that you were thinking about? And she, you know, like, and then he basically starts doing bits to her and then they massively finish together. So that was the dream. So then there's like a scene afterwards where they're all together like in the living room and Ransom just goes, why don't you tell the other 2 about that dream the other day and what happened in the dream? And then obviously that's when she then loses her V-plates because it's a thing. And then my other favourite scene is her and Ransom are in bed together and he just edges her. So this is before she loses her virginity. He sticks his pee-pee in, but only like an inch, and she's like, please just like do it. Just do me. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it yet. So then he keeps like literally edging her, putting an inch in for like 10 minutes. And he's like, anyway, let's go and get on with the day. And just goes straight back. I was like, oh my God, that was delightful. So yeah, that's it really. So obviously I think I'm going to read, I mean, we've got a lot to read over the next sort of month. So I don't know if I'm going to go into book 2 straight away, but I remember everything that happened at the end and it was chaos. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to go into my first one, which is Sweet Berries by CM Nascosta.
Woohoo!
So this was my 12 for 12 audio for February. So I gave this 3.5 stars and I would say it's like 4.5 to 5 chili peppers. Ooh. This is book 2 in the Cambric Creek Sweet and Steamy Monster Romance series. And it's a 5-book series. And if you've read Morning Glory Milking Farm, which is book 1, you will understand why I was a little bit like, oh, I didn't really know how to give the chili peppers, because it was still sweet as well. Like, it was still very cutesy. I did really love this. I really did. And a lot of people have said, this is the only way I can kind of like compare it. A lot of people have said that they use Ice Planet Barbarians as sort of like, you know that, not a breather read, what do we call it? Like, they use the Ice Planet Barbarians as like a palate cleanser kind of read. Mm-hmm. Like, something you just kind of like read in between when you can't really be bothered sort of finding anything else. Yeah. And it's just a good fun time. They're very, very short and they're easy to consume. I actually think that this series is sort of a bit like what Ice Planet Barbarians is for a lot of other people. For comparison reasons as well, I prefer this over Ice Planet Barbarians. Yeah. I do know that Ice Planet Barbarians is a far bigger series with so many more books than the 5 that's in this one. But the only way I could describe it or compare it to something is to compare it to that, like as if it's, you know, some kind of like easy palate cleanser. Obviously it's monster romances as well, and Ice Planet is aliens. So even though I gave it 3.5, I need to reiterate, I feel like I have to say this every single time, because I think 3.5 gets quite a bad rep, and to me that's not a bad rating. No, 3.5. No. That's my just above a down the middle rating, like just above it. And it's like, yeah, I had a good time. It's a series I'll continue. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. Is there some things I would change? Maybe, but the way the book was written made the book the way it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you know what I mean? It was just a nice, easy to consume read. It is obviously very spicy. The opening chapter is straight in with absolute filth.
Oh!
Like, just... So basically, I'll go into my rundown then. Okay, so we've got Gracie. She's an events planner and she works at like a berry farm. She's sort of like cute and innocent, but her thoughts are very much not cute and innocent. Like, if you look at her, she's giving cute and innocent in like her long floaty maxi dresses, which have got flowers on them. Yeah. You know, she's all boho chic. But inside her head, she is filthy as anything. I don't think she's lost her virginity. Pretty sure she was a virgin, but I can't remember that. Anyway, in her head, she's like super filthy, like absolutely filthy. And she is absolutely desperate to just be railed by someone. So in the opening chapter, we're basically just inside her head. And she's talking about how horny she is. She's just like, she always has to clench her thighs together. She just wants to be touched by someone and she just wants to get off with someone. Yeah, honestly, it's absolutely filthy. Like the words that come out, well, not out of her mouth, but the words that are in her brain, I was like, holy shit balls. Nice. Jesus. So one night after work, she goes to a bar with her friends and she doesn't usually go out. She's usually at home reading, like me, being a bit of a recluse, an introvert, but she decides, fuck it. Her friend's like, look, you need to come out, you need to try and get laid. You know, there's a guy we both know that wants you, maybe you should have a little bit of a flirt with him. So she goes out, that guy is at the bar, he ends up sitting next to her at the table, so he ends up kind of like slowly feeling her up over the course of the night. Yeah. Hand on her leg, on her thigh, and he's going closer and closer up to her area. And then eventually his finger or thumb or whatever, like his pinky or whatever, starts playing with her over her panties. So he gets her like all het up, like really het up. And eventually it gets to a point where she's sort of like really squirming. And he's like, I'm going to go to the toilet. He whispers to her, I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm pretty sure there's a back door out there, which is quite quiet. So, you know, if you want to come down there. She's like, oh, I'm so tempted to do that, but I just don't know if it's the right thing to do. Like, I'm so far out of my comfort zone, like just even being out here. So anyway, he goes to the toilet and she's like, nah, fuck it. And she legs it. So she just leaves. Aww. And she's like, I'm going to go home. She gets home, but because of the night and him teasing her, she's all like pent up then. Yeah. She's got all this pent up energy she needs to expel. So she gets in her room and she's like laying on her bed and the curtains are still open. And she's like, oh, I'm going to get my devices out and start having a little play. So she does, legs akimbo, curtains still open, and then she starts hearing rustling and noises outside from the tree, and she's like, oh, could be nothing. And then the noises happen again and she's like, oh no, I think there could be somebody out there. And she's like, oh my god, what if it's my neighbour, like being a peeping Tom, like who is that? But then she's so turned on by the prospect of somebody watching her and she just needs to get off so bad she just carries on. So the girl is human, for reference. So she carries on. It keeps going. And then she is like, no, there's definitely someone out there now. So she can't see anyone, but the person is making these kind of like weird little chirps and noises, right? Oh proper God. Like little, she calls it chirps. And she's like, no, there's definitely someone watching me out there. So when she does something and like, she knows that the person outside is liking it because of the way that they kind of react. And she's like, oh, it sounds like they're trying to move closer. So anyway, she ends up getting herself off to this person who's watching her in a window. She finishes. She's like, oh my God, that's the best finish I've ever had. That was insane. She conks out immediately. Out for the count, goes straight to sleep. Wakes up next morning, she's still slick between the thighs, and she's like, oh my God, I need to wash myself off. Very over the top. She's like, oh, I had to wash myself so many times to get rid of it because it was just so intense.
Oh God.
So she goes to work the next day, blah, 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 and then the next night, she does it again. And the person is at the window again this time. But this time, she's thinking to herself, oh, I wish she could touch me. So she says it out loud, and she's like, I wish you could just touch me or put your tongue on me or, you know, something like that. And then in the next instance, she can feel something on her, but she can't, there's nobody in the room. She can't see. So she's like laying back. She's like, I can't see anybody in the room though, but I can feel something on me. And then she's like, oh, I could have just reached down there to see what it was, but I decided not to, conveniently. So this tongue-like thing is on her. And obviously all the way from the monster outside of her window in the tree. So he helps her get her to her finish with his very, very, very long tongue.
I was going to say, hang on, so he stood outside, his tongue's gone through the window.
Yep.
And into bed.
Her. Yep. So she gets off with his tongue and she's thinking, oh my God, is he getting off in the tree, blah blah blah. Anyway, she finishes. She thinks that he also finishes based on sort of noises. That was it. She conks out again, goes straight to sleep. She's at work sometime later And then this guy walks in and she's talking to him and he seems so sweet. So sweet. He's like really nervous. He's got these antennas that are sort of like, the only way I can describe them is they're a bit like dog ears. So you know, like when a dog is sad or scared or nervous, their ears flop down and they kind of like just go, and it's so cute.
Yeah.
His antennas were basically like dog ears, like that. So when he was like going out and he was like nervous, so his little antennas kept going down every time he was like nervous or something like that, or getting anxious. So he's like talking to her, and then she notices and clocks on that he does that when he's like nervous. She's like, this bloke seems really nice. Like, I like him. Like, maybe I could get to know him and blah, blah, blah. And then the conversation is flowing, and then she turns around to get something for him, and he makes this kind of chirping noise, and she's basically like, what the fuck are you doing here? She's like, oh my God, it was you. You were the person outside my window. And then he's like, oh shit, with his little antennas down. He's like, oh no, I just wanted to see you and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she ends up taking him on a little tour of the farm. Then, you know, they start seeing each other and the romance blossoms from there. And there's obviously so much more spicy scenes, and the tongue gets put to very good use. Very good use, actually. And it is spicy, but also just like the Milking Fine one, it is also hella cute. And I actually preferred him to her in this, very much so. He was very cute. He was also like super dorky because he was a scientist as well, and yeah, that was written really well. His character was written really well. I'll definitely continue the series. And he's a Mothman as well. I don't know if I said that. Hence the antennas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one, I thought I might as well go into Such a Dirty Girl because that was my little slump read. So this one is a novella. I think it's only like 150 pages. By Effie Campbell. So yeah, there's not too much to say about this one, but I really enjoyed it. It helped. The slumpage was outage. So my rating for it was 4.5, and I gave it a 4 for Shirley Papaza. So this one, we have got Drew, we've got Jake, and we've got Sarah. So some MMF. We still don't know which way round it is, do we?
The swords do be crossing.
The swords do cross. So Drew really fancies Jake, which is his stepbrother, and he's trying to figure out a way that Jake and Sarah can break up so that he can sweep in and take Jake for himself. So Sarah and Jake have been together for ages, but she's kind of a little bit bored because she's like, oh, he's always like trying to be the best that he can be, and I want a bit more pizzazz. Like, I want him to choke me out a bit and slam me over and call me a good girl.
He's a bit vanilla, isn't he?
Yeah. And then even Jake himself, like, his inner dialogue is like, I just want to be everything and more. Like, I spend all of my time just being the best at everything, and I just can't be asked anymore, kind of thing. Anyway, so basically the story is how all three of them separately all want to actually come together, but it's just total carnage on the way because neither of them say that they want to do that. And then there's like some other things going on in the background where like Sarah had done some bad things which Drew knew about, and then Drew's like, if you don't do this, then I'm going to tell Jake, and like it was just all very messy. But yeah, I mean, they all come together in the end, and it is très delicious. But on the way, Drew tells Jake that he will help Jake out to like do all these nice things that Sarah wants. So like how to be a bit more dominant. So Jake goes to Drew for like all the advice, but then at the same time, Drew's kind of trying to get in there at the same time to, you know, touch him up or whatever.
He uses the opportunity of Jake like asking him for help, doesn't he? So he's kind of like, oh, you can just practice with me. Yeah. Do it on me. Practice on me.
And then like there'll be times where Jake and Sarah are together, then Drew will like text him and be like, put your hand round her throat or get her on her knees or like stuff like that.
My favourite scene in that book was when they were at the dinner table and he tells Jake to use his fingers in front of him.
That was a very good scene. My favourite scene is when they're on the bed. Jake is on the bed and he gets a message from Drew saying, yeah, to suck you off. Not realising that Drew is actually under the bed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah, I forgot about that. Bloody hell.
So Drew's under the bed and then she's on her knees. So she's, like, got her legs open and Drew is right in front of her, but she doesn't know that he's there.
Oh, yeah.
So she's then going to town on Jake with her mouth. And then Drew literally, like, slides out and then just starts going to town on her.
Yeah, so he kind of, like, slips out from under the bed to under her legs. So she's like kneeling and so he starts going to town with his tongue
on
her while
she's sucking Jake off, but obviously
doesn't
Jake
know he's there.
doesn't know he's there, and she's not going to say anything because she's kind of like, okay, we'll roll with this. She wants like more pizzazz, and that is very pizzazzy.
I really enjoyed that book.
It's really good.
Really enjoyed it, actually.
So I've actually read I think I've read 3 books now out of the whole series, and I've enjoyed every single one. Like every single one has hit the mark for me. It's either been like between a 4 and a 5. And I will continue to read the other, I think there's another 3. So good times. Yeah. Good times for all.
Okay, my next one is Dirty Brothers by Samantha Barrett. And we spoke about Samantha Barrett in one of our last pods.
Yeah.
Because you had said, and I've just put a clip up on social media, we were saying that you actually do learn something educational in most Samantha Barrett books. Yeah. And the one that we were talking about in the Valentine's pod, we were like, oh, we actually didn't learn anything really educational in that one. When I tell you I learned a thing in this one, why learn a thing?
What was it?
Colorado s'more.
Oh no.
So
what is it?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
So stars, I gave this 3, and chili peppers, I gave it a 5. I only gave it a 3, I think potentially because of the Colorado s'more situation, because I think, like, I'll give more context in a minute, but food fetish isn't my thing.
Okay.
Yep. And it was all right. It was fine. As with all Samantha Barrett books, like, again, like you were saying about the Effie Campbell ones, like Such a Dirty Girl and that, and the same with CM Nascosta ones, like, because they're small and they're hella spicy, they're kind of like a stepping stone to get you through. Like, I still enjoyed it, and I absolutely will continue to read all of the other Samantha Barrett books. Like, I did still enjoy it. Was it my favourite one that I've read so far? Probably not, but I do feel like where we started, we've really set the bar high with those 3 books, like Dirty Daddy and Dirty Priest. They're just... You can read them and just appreciate the spicy fun time that they are, and that's exactly what I did. So I actually haven't written any notes down for this one, so I'm just going to let it roll off the tongue. I can't remember the names, but basically we've got the FMC. She's just broken up with her boyfriend because he was cheating on her. And I think it was like posted onto social media or something, and she's absolutely fucking enraged by this. So she's like, she doesn't usually go out, she's usually staying indoors, she's like usually reading, but her friend encourages her to go out. Oh, very similar story to the last one. So she goes out and she's like, you know, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone, basically. However, she still has her V plates. She is still a virgin.
Everyone's got their V plates.
I know. So she still has her V plates. She never quite gave it up to the ex-boyfriend, even though they've been together a long time, because she was sort of like, it just didn't feel right. Yeah. Even though he pestered me for it, just didn't feel right. Obviously, he ended up moving on to somebody else. So she goes out to this nightclub and she's with her friend. And then her friend ends up having to leave for whatever reasons. And her friend is like, oh, no, please don't leave with me. Like, you need to stay here, have fun. Please find someone to get under. Like, fuck him. So the ex-boyfriend is there in the club. And I genuinely, honestly, I cannot believe how much happens in these Samantha Barrett books. Yeah. Because even thinking about it now and replaying everything in my head, it was 100 pages, right? And so much happened, to the point I was just thinking to myself, am I actually still talking about the right book? Because so much happened. So she's in this club and these 3 guys literally just appear out of nowhere. So it's a why choose. Masked. Oh, I forgot to say that actually. The club, to get in, you had to wear a mask. So everyone's sort of like semi-anonymous. So these guys turn up masked and, you know, proposition her and whatever. And then somehow within the span of one very short conversation, they tell her to run, and she understands the implications of when they catch her. It was very much, I actually think he says it, when we catch you, we'll fuck you. So she scarpers off. They're like, run. So she takes her heels off. She fucking legs it. Proper spins through this club. She ends up going down this corridor. There's multiple doors. Only one of them's open. She walks into this room, and right in the smack bang in the centre of the room is a St. Andrew's cross.
Of course.
Obviously. Happened to be the only room open in this club, and she's the only person who found it. So she goes into the room. The guys come in after her. And obviously, because it's a spicy novella, there's no hanging around.
For sure.
It goes off. So, bearing in mind, she still has her V-plates at this point. That conversation does not happen, because they assume she doesn't, and she doesn't correct them. Right. She doesn't tell them. Because she obviously just, like, wants to get it over and done with. And she was like, I feel comfortable with these guys. For some strange reason, I just feel comfortable with them. They make me feel safe, even though you've just met them and they've tied you to a cross. Anyway. So it all goes off. All 3 of them are on her. They're in all the holes.
Oh, for the love of
It
God.
just got it goes off, and then obviously because they realize after it's done that she's a virgin, so he like pulls out, and then he's like, "What the actual fuck?" Like raging about it. Anyway, so they end the night, and she's like, "It was only supposed to be a one-time thing," and she's like, "Oh well, if you want to do it again, I'll be here next Friday." So obviously they're all there next Friday.
Oh, of course. Yep.
So they're after her. Basically, what we realise is you've got her who wants to get revenge against her ex-boyfriend because he cheated on her and she wants to get over him. And then we've got the three guys who are also on their own revenge hype against someone who ended one of their careers. So all three of them are hockey players, but one of them's career was ended because of a situation that happened. And they're trying to get back at this guy who is their brother. Hence Dirty Brothers. And it turns out, very quickly, not a spoiler, it's very obvious in the very beginning, the brother is the ex-boyfriend.
Okay, yeah, lovely.
And she ends up, there's a whole storyline of her, all of a sudden, she gets taken to the ice rink to meet her stepbrothers, right?
There is actually her ex now.
They're not related.
Well, of course, they're not.
So the three main brothers and the other brother don't share all the same parents.
Right, okay, that's fine.
They share the same dad, but not the same mum. So her ex-boyfriend is stepbrothers with the three guys that did
I'm
her.
with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But the three brothers are all related
Real
fully.
brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But she wrote it in a way that, you could follow along. I followed along.
no,
At no point was I confused. However, I can understand, now that I'm talking about it, why it sounds confusing.
Yeah.
Because a lot does happen. And obviously, so much goes down.
So she ends up with the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Shall we circle back to Colorado s'mores?
Yes, I'm buzzing to find out what it is.
So basically, in the club, she goes into that room, if you remember, and there's a St. Andrew's cross.
Yep.
Okay, she meets them again the following Friday.
Yep.
And then they leave open another door. And when she goes in, it's a kitchen setup, and it looks all very domestic, and she's like, this is kind of weird. Immediately, I was like, oh, this is obviously going to have to do with food. So he basically gets her on the counter, gets her naked, and he gets these marshmallows out. And he's like, I'm going to put these in your holes. And then I'm going to do your hole. And I'm going to finish all over the marshmallow. And then I'm going to take it back out. And you're going to eat the marshmallow.
Oh, fucking hell, here we go.
From both holes.
Like, back hole?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they finish.
So not only is it in her back hole, he's then jizzed on it.
And then it has to be sucked out by one of them. And then spat into her mouth. And she
Sucked
eats
out
it
how?
with their mouth.
At least there wasn't a straw. I mean, I say at least.
That's arguably worse than shrimping.
Yeah, that is 100% worse than shrimping. I'm not doing that.
Oh, no one said that we would have to do that. Absolutely nobody at any point thought, I wonder if they'll do that.
I wonder if they'll practice that.
Yeah. No.
Homework!
No.
Don't do it.
Absolutely
Don't do
not.
it.
No.
Please don't do it.
Yeah.
But if you have done it, let us know. I need to know now. If you've done it. If you've done it, was it fun?
I didn't
Did you have a
actually
good time?
Google. I didn't Google if this was like an actual thing or if this is something Sam Barrett made up.
Shrimping was on Google though,
Yeah.
so she didn't make that up.
So it's got to be. Okay.
Lovely.
Let's move on from the jizzy marshmallows.
Okay, so my next book is Dirty Ties by Pam Godwin. So I've had this on my TBR for so long. And then when I looked to see how many pages the book was, it was like 270 or something like that. And I was like, oh, I could smash through that. It lies. It says 270, but that's obviously of like a huge book. So it's actually like 500. Oh, no. So that was annoying. But I got through it. The only thing about this book is that it's not like a classic Pammy book. So I was always expecting something dark to be happening and it didn't really come. And then it was just sort of a little bit everywhere. Like it wasn't great. I did actually give it, so I gave it a 4, but I'm kind of teetering on a 3.5 because I do need to appreciate the fact that it is written well. It was just messy, because so much happened. So I'll do a rundown and see if you can piece it together. Is probably the best way to do it. So we've got Casey, who is 37 years old, and she is with a guy called Colin. So they have been best friends since they were younger, but Colin is actually gay. He is like a right-wing political person, so he can't come out as gay because everyone that supports him will just shut him out. So they get men of the night in so that he can do it with them, but his thing is, I will only do it with them if you can be involved as well. So she gets involved, but then the guy that they're doing it with, so this is all at the beginning, the guy that they're doing it with is basically faking it because he wants to be with Colin and he doesn't want to be with Casey. So she's kind of like, you just carry on, I'm going to walk out. So she like leaves and lets them do their thing. So then side plot, so she is into motorcyclists and she likes going down to like this underground situation that's going on. And there's a guy down there that she doesn't know who he is, but she always watches him on his motorcycle. And she's like, I want a piece of that cake because I'm not getting any cake at home. So that's the other side bit for her, doing all this motorcycle business. So then Collins and her parents, they own like this company called Trench something. So they're very high up. And basically they've kind of threatening both of them that if they don't stay in this marriage, bad things are going to happen. And basically the parents are like mafia vibes. They're like bad people. They're trying to like keep them on side. So they're going to stay in this marriage. Then we've got Logan, which is the MMC. So Logan, it turns out that not only is he the guy that she's been lusting over that's in the motorcycle situation, he's also a guy whose mum was murdered by Colin's dad.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Logan wants revenge. He wants to then go to the Trench company and take over as CEO and basically destroy the whole situation. And the way that he does that is he sleeps with Casey when she just thinks he's a random guy that she can get away with sleeping with because Colin's obviously with this other guy. And he films it. And then he goes into the office, the Trench office the next day, shows them all the video and basically says, I'm going to out it unless you make me CEO. That's it, really. It was tough. It was tough, like, because there was bits that I really enjoyed, because when I got sort of halfway, it was, like, a little bit dark, but not too dark. And then, like, the end was, like, classic Hills of Shivers and Shadows kind of dark. And I was like, okay, where was all of this energy at the beginning? Because I've been confused for about 200, would be 400 pages. And then you're coming in with the goods at the end. It wasn't my favourite read of Pannies, but I mean, it was fine. I don't even have a favourite scene because it's just too much happened. There was one scene, so they live in the Trump quarters, her and Colin. Casey and Colin live in the Trump quarters. And when she is dressed in her motorcycle gear, she's out and Logan's there in his motorcycle gear and he follows her home because she gets attacked, obviously. So he follows her home and they're like in the underground bit and they end up doing bits together, but she doesn't know who he actually is, that it's like Logan and he's actually going in so that he can infiltrate the areas. Yeah, that's it really. I mean, it was great. It was fine. It was okay.
That was a journey.
I've just been on a journey there just telling you what happened because I don't even know what more to say. I mean, if you've read this book and you enjoyed it, well done. But I found it okay. And that's it.
So do you stand firm on the 4 or would you go down to 3.5?
I'd go down to 3.5. I feel like if I gave it a 3, so I gave it a 4 because I think I enjoyed the end.
Yeah.
Whereas I would give it a 3.5. 3 seems too low because it was written
Really well. Yeah.
It's just the amount of confusion that I had throughout the whole thing. Just so much was going on.
Maybe going in with the expectation, especially after having read Hills of Shivers and Shadows
Exactly.
and even like Deliver, to then go in, I guess, yeah. Because it can, going in with certain expectations can affect your rating of it.
Yeah.
And that's not because it's badly written or it was a bad book or anything like that. It's just obviously you went in thinking it was going to be one thing and it was another.
Yeah, I think because we've had so many 5-star reads from Pam
Pammy.
Godwin, I was like, this is going to be, I'm going to eat this up, baby. Actually, and do you know what? It probably was off the back of this whole slump situation.
Yeah, that
as
probably
well.
didn't help either.
Do you want to do your next one?
Yeah, I don't know which one to do. I don't know whether, because I was going to go over Whispers in the Dark and Circle of Freaks, but honestly, I didn't really enjoy them that much, and the second one I gave 2 stars. So I think I might, because I want to talk about Daggermouth and Grave Matter, because I both love them a lot, so I might just actually fuck off those 2 novella ones. I will say really quickly, book 1 I gave it, what did I just say, 3.5 or 3 stars, and book 2 I gave 2 stars. And the Chilies were only like 3 and 2 or 3 and 2.5. And I read them after Grave Matter when I was like desperately trying to find a similar hit of the sort of psychological mind fuck situation. And these came up and I was like, oh, they're novellas, so that's nice and easy. So fuck it, I'll just do it. And I did the first one. And I was like, it wasn't great, it was fine, but I'll move on to the next one to try and wrap up the story. So the first one follows a certain couple, FMC and MMC, and then the next book, the second book, follows a different couple. The MMCs are brothers, and the FMCs are best friends. And basically, it's just like there's like a carnival circus type situation. One of the brothers is older and runs the circus. The other brother is younger and he goes to college/school. If you're American, you know what I mean. But he studies from home, so he's never actually been in the school. So when she turns up at a party in book 1, he's there and she's like, oh my God, he's stunning. And he then all of a sudden doesn't want any other women in the room except her. But all the other popular girls are like fawning over him and she's not very popular and whatever. But he only wants her now. And it all it's just really, really weird. Like there's weird stuff going on. It's like they're all basically interlinked and attached to this house. Book 2 has this insane, it's not even a plot twist. Is it a plot twist? It's just the way that it's wrapped up is just so insane at the end of book 2, that it's actually really fucking confusing. Right. And I had to go back and read when she started to explain it in the book. I had to go back and reread it like twice because I didn't understand, and that's unusual for me. Yeah, and it was basically, I'm not going to ruin it, but it was basically all around reincarnation. They're all linked through the house that the FMC lives in from book 1, and they reincarnate or something. It was weird. It was really, really, really weird. Honestly, I wouldn't particularly recommend them. Book 1 was all right. I gave it 3.5. Yeah. It was all right. Yeah, book 2, not great. It had all of the potential, but none of the execution. You know, when you read a book and you're like, oh my God, the storyline, the plot, it's all there. All the workings are there. Yeah. But the execution just didn't land. And there was a certain part in book 2, so it's more circus vibes. So book 2 is more like a Jodie King kind of Hollows vibes, minus the face paints and whatever. Well, actually, they did have face paints. So it was more like a Hollows vibe in book 2. And in the circus, they have this glass box situation where it's like a big sex box. Yeah. And people who are VVIPs to the circus go and watch this box after the main show, and all of the acts are in the box and doing bits and stuff together. And I was like, that was such a minimal part of the book, and I was like, actually that could have been, not that I want the whole book to be that, but that could have been explored a hell of a lot more. Yeah, sure. It really did have all of the workings to be a good story, but yeah, it just didn't land. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that. If you want to read it, obviously you can, but it was just a bit, Yeah. And then book 2, I definitely didn't enjoy the ending. I was like, what the fuck is even going on here? So I'm going to go into grave matter, and I'm going to finish this podcast by talking about Daggermouth, which a lot of people have been asking for an update on. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible so I can get to Daggermouth quicker. So this is Grave Matter by Karina Halle, is what we believe she's called. Yep. I gave it 4.5 stars and 2.5 to 3 chili peppers. Fucking hell, that's catching on, that.
Chili peppers!
Like little jazz fingers for when we say chili peppers. So this is a standalone psychological sci-fi thriller with horror elements and romance. So I wouldn't say, the romance is, obviously, it's a bit like Alchemized in the sense, whereas the romance is such a huge part of the story and it carries the whole way from page 1, obviously. But also the plot is kind of overtakes the story as well. The mind fuckery to it really overtakes the story. It is super unique. I've never read anything like it before. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I would have liked, and I'll talk about this in a very non-spoiler way, but there is mushrooms involved, and I'll get to that in a second. And I assumed they were all taking mushrooms and they were going into the woods from what I'd heard from other people's reviews. That is not how it went. And again, that kind of pulls us back to the whole going in with expectations and it not being met. If I hadn't have gone in with those expectations, I reckon this might have been a 5-star. Gone in completely blind. And I wish I had now. But it didn't meet those expectations, and I was really excited about that element of them taking the mushrooms. So the mushroom aspect is, you've got Sydney, she's been kicked out of university. That's similar to one of yours, where she can't afford to pay for it anymore. Can't afford to pay for it anymore. We don't know why she's been kicked out at that moment in time at the very beginning. These are the opening scenes, but we know that she's fucked up monumentally, and she owns up to that. She's like, I fucked up. And we don't know what that is until later on in the book. Yeah. And it tracks and obviously all makes sense eventually. So she can't afford to pay for accommodation, all that kind of stuff. So she's got to leave. Now, as part of her uni course, college course, whatever you want to call it, she was accepted onto this like research program at the Madrona Foundation, or with the Madrona Foundation. It's basically on this like island or inlet in Vancouver, and it's like super remote, super dark and eerie. And she's due to leave the day after she gets kicked out. So she's like, I'm just going to turn up. I'm going to turn up at the airplane and see if they'll just let me on. They might not even know yet that I've been kicked out of uni. Fuck it, let's just see. I've got nowhere else to go. I've got nothing to lose. So she actually ends up being allowed on the plane, and she's like, oh, thank God for that. So it's a 16-week program. She's like, I'm set now. Like, I'm out there, I'm set for 16 weeks. Yeah. So basically the research that they're conducting is they're using mushrooms as a way to research like cures and medical treatments for Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is something that's close to her heart. So she's very keen to go out there. So she's on the plane. We see her in like the opening scenes. We know all this from the opening scenes, by the way. She's on the plane. She meets someone on the plane. Can't remember the woman's name now. But she gets off the plane. And it's all very weird. I think I explained this to you when I very first started reading it, that it was super weird. She gets off the plane. The woman sort of like disappears. And she's like, where's this woman gone? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, I got off the plane first, but they're telling me that the woman got off the plane first, but I'm sure I got off the plane first. Then she's like, oh, I must be hallucinating or whatever. And then she clocks this guy across the way, slightly older man, and she's like, ooh, he is fine. Who is he? Who is this man? Turns out that man is the resident psychologist, but he's also one of the professors. So it's very kind of like a forbidden romance situation. Yeah. So obviously they start to get to know each other. Everyone has to go to the resident psychologist and see them and talk about everything that happens there, because they've lost a lot of previous researchers that have gone to the island. And lots of like really weird and dark stuff just kind of starts happening around her. Like, things start appearing in her, so there'll be like things missing from her luggage that she swore she could have packed, but they're not there. And then all of a sudden she'll like come back from something and she'll see someone, she thinks she can see someone who's just been in her room, shut the door and scarp it off. Then she goes in her room, and then like the running shoes that were missing from her luggage are now tucked under her bed, and she's like, have they always been there? Why would someone come into my room and just put trainers there? Yeah. Why would they even have them? So she starts feeling like she's kind of going a little bit mental. She then starts seeing like animals, dead animals that are actually still alive, but their like skin is hanging off, and like their eyeballs are out of their head or hanging out their head, but the animal is still alive, the heart is like still beating, but all the organs and things are like white. And so you're sort of like, what the actual fuck is going on? Genuinely, that's what I was like the whole way through. I was like, what the actual ever living fuck? But then it seemed to be just her that was like experiencing this. And I don't want to go into it too much, because I think it's really important that you just go into this. I actually think it's important to go into it blind, knowing that it's a mind fuck, and to just roll with it. But it really, oh my God, just the twists and turns, you're back and forth with what actually is happening. And like I said, I assumed that everyone met up. They were all going to go. I didn't realize it was a research foundation before I went into it. Yeah. I just assumed she was going to go to this island. I guess maybe I thought she was going to be like with her friends on a camping trip or something. They'd go into the woods, they'd all take mushrooms, and it would just all fucking kick off, and it would be all weird. And it obviously wasn't like that. There was groups of friends involved. There was woodland areas. There was a forbidden romance. You know, the spice was few and far between, but the mind fuckery of the book itself was so overpowering. It actually didn't need the spice. I mean, it was great, obviously. It was nice to have it. And I really liked him as well. And it was like, you were so back and forth with all of the characters in the book as well. Like, there was other people there that were just doing like really weird shit and like saying weird stuff. And you were like, what the fuck? And obviously it all makes sense at the end. Mm-hmm. The way she tied all of that up to make sense at the end without it all being wrapped up in a bow in the space of like 3 pages, it was trickled out to you, and so it started to make sense over a period of time, and it was sort of like various light bulb moments. You're like, oh my God, no way, is that what that is? And then like when you get to it and it really all kind of slots into place, you're like, fucking hell. It was insane, honestly, the brain power that must have gone into to create that. And when I finished, I was like, I need more of whatever high that just gave me. Yeah. Whatever receptors that just fired off in my brain, I need more of it. I need it immediately, which is what led me into those 2 crappy novellas. So this is my plea to anyone listening. If you know of anything that has given you a similar hit to Grave Matter, please can you let me know, because I want to read that immediately. Oh my god, it was so fucking good. Okay, should we have a little not cake break?
Let's do a little cake break.
So I think I'm going to have a Dairy Dunkers.
I'd love
and
one.
I'm going to try and find a snack in the cupboard. Do you also want a Dairy Dunkers?
Yes, please.
I might take my microphone with me, actually, so you can listen to me whilst I get my stuff out of the fridge. Should we take our mics with us?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I would like a ring, I would like a ring, I would like a turn. Okay, Dunkerage.
Guess who's back? So this is my one. Apple and pear stare.
If you're from London. We're going to need to get in this cupboard now. I'm spinning around.
Fucking hell.
Out of my way. I know you feel me because you like it like this. Is anyone that's listening old enough to know that song? We've got brownies that might be out of date.
Salted caramel. I don't like salted.
Let's get rid of them as well. So what have I got in my hand here? I've got mini jammy Dodgers, and then I've got 2 of these, whatever these egg things. Like mini ones. Are they chocolate filled or something?
Yeah, I think so.
And I have a Dairy Dunkers. Oh, I don't know what to start with.
I'm going to go 1 egg, Dairy Dunker, back to an egg, maybe a little belt.
Interesting.
Cable.
Yeah, and we got these like fizzy, we've got these fizzy rainbow cables. Actually, I might try one of these first. I don't actually usually eat sweets. Like, when I say sweets, I mean like sugary sweets. I'm more of a chocolate person and biscuit person. Cookies, if you're an American.
Cookie. Right, what was we going to discuss on the old cakey breaky?
Oh yeah!
Cakey bracage.
So, the other day, I was thinking to myself, like, I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my god, I'm so tired. Like, do you know what would be really good? Is if I could remember being asleep.
Yep.
You know, like, remember how being asleep felt. Like, because it's obviously going to feel good, isn't it? Like, being asleep. But you just then the last thing you remember is putting your head on the pillow and shutting your eyes. And then the next thing you know, you're awake. And I find that a little bit annoying, actually, because I'm like, I wish I could remember actually being asleep. Like, if you could bottle the feeling of being asleep, like, because that would feel great. Like, I was trying to explain this to Tia, but my thought process is it would feel like, you know, when you wake up on a day that you don't have to get up and go to work or do anything, and like you wake up, I don't know, say like 7 a.m. or something, you go to the toilet and then you get back in bed, or you just roll over. That feeling of closing your eyes again or getting back in the bed again and being like, oh my god, this feels incredible.
Yeah.
We all know that feeling. We all know it. And I imagine being asleep to feel similar to that. Like, if you could feel being asleep, I imagine that's what it would feel like. And I would bottle that feeling. I reckon you could bottle that feeling and sell it. That would be amazing. You know when you have like a nice meal?
Yeah.
And you look back on it and you go, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that dinner I did. That was a really nice meal. That was a really nice steak. I'd like to be able to do that, but with sleep.
Yeah.
It's just absolute nonsense we're talking right now.
Yeah. I'm
But
just hungry.
Does it make sense to anyone? Because it makes sense to me in my head.
I get it.
Is there another feeling you would bottle? Just any feeling whatsoever. If you could bottle feeling.
Payday.
Yeah.
Payday's a great day.
Although it's also miserable because then all your bills come out within like the following week, don't they?
But the actual day itself, I'm like, fuck, I'm loaded.
For about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Go treat myself to like a really expensive bottle of wine. I'm like, yeah, still got cash in the bank. Woo, go. And then the day later, once
All the bills have
the
hit.
bills have hit, I'm like, oh, someone's living off beans and toast for the rest of the month.
Ice and bread for dinner.
So yeah, having that day one feeling all the time would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But you would have
Do
to
you
get
think
paid
that's how
every
like
day.
billionaires feel?
Probably, but surely they're stressed all the
Because
time.
every day's payday. I feel like when you get to billionaire status, you don't know what stress is because you pay all the people to stress for you.
Good point.
You've literally, I don't think people understand the concept of the difference between millions and billions. I read something recently that was like, don't quote me on the actual figures, but it was similar. Something like, if you earned something like £10,000 a day or $10,000 a day or $100,000 a day, it was something like that. From like whatever AD, every single day you earned like 10,000, you still wouldn't be as rich as Jeff Bezos right now.
Really?
Yeah. It was something like that. Don't quote me on the dates, the timeline stuff, but it was something insane. If you Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. Imagine earning like £10,000 a day, every day, since like the beginning of fucking time and still not being as rich as Jeff Bezos is.
Oh,
Disgusting, isn't it?
that's
Or Bill
so
Gates.
gross.
Imagine having that much money. I wonder if billionaires feel like every day's payday. They must do.
Yeah, they must do.
Okay, do you want to go into your last two?
Woohoo!
If you rattle through them and then I will finish on Daggermouth.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is One Night Scandal, and I'm going to quickly wrap through this. So this one, I really enjoyed it. So the first book, One Night Seduction, so this is all part of the ONS series. One Night Seduction, it was her stepfather. This one is sister's boyfriend. So I was kind of like, cheating. But then I met the sister, and I was like, okay, it's fine for now. I mean, it's bad, but it's fine. So this one, like the same as the first book. So they meet at a saucy club. So on that night, Nico, he breaks up with the sister. He's away at the moment. They suggest at the hotel, why don't you just go to this saucy club? So obviously he goes. So when he's there, you see Casey, who turns up with her friends, and she's into like shibari and all of that stuff. So she ends up in like a little class situation, and the woman says, do you want to come up and then, we can use you as for demonstration purposes. And then she's like, and you, sir, if you could come up and then you can do the rapping. This whole little situation, they end up doing it, and then they're like really into each other. And he's like, can you come to Boston sometime and see me again? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. I've never had an O like that before. So she's all over it. Anyway, so the next day, she's at home, and who turns up? He does! With the girlfriend! Because they got back together the following morning.
The following morning,
they're back together. So obviously the storyline is Nico and Cassie clearly liking each other in this family situation, and Carly basically being a massive dick. So Carly like just goes off out with her friends and sort of leaves them. So he ends up going out with the family a lot. They like go on boat trips and like all of this stuff. So obviously they then get close. But there's also this other love interest called Alec. So him and Casey used to be together like way back when. And he is kind of in it, and they go on dates, and they do end up sleeping with each other, and he gives her a hickey, and then she goes home, and then Nico's like, who did this to you? And all that good stuff. So it was really, really good, but fucking hell did it go off at the end. It really got dark within like the last sort of 30 pages.
Isn't Casey the friend from book one? Is she the friend?
Yeah. So it is 3 girls. So all the 3 books will be about the 3 girls. So they are 3 best friends. So the next one, she's actually a virgin, but she is with someone, we just don't know who she's with, and she's very secretive about who this other person is. So I'm wondering whether it's like a stepbrother, maybe, because they're all like a little bit taboo, aren't they? So yeah, so I had a really great time. So I gave it a 4.5 for ratings, and I gave it a 3.5 for spice. And one of the scenes, oh God, it was so sexy. They're in the car because they're about to go out with the parents, even though they're not together. But they're in the car together. Anyway, so he's doing bits to her in the seat. So then she starts doing bits to him, but he's still in his trousers, in his slacks. So he's all covered up, and he's like, suck me now. And she's like, no. So she keeps touching him, and then he finishes in his slacks, and he's like, you think I'm embarrassed? I ain't embarrassed. And he just grabs her head and puts her down, and he's like, lick it up. It's like, okay then. Yeah! It was delightful. Like, this man is delightful.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Honestly, you would have loved it. So she like sucks it all up, and then she's like, I think I've just made it worse. And he grabs a bottle of water and then just pours the water on himself, and he's like, problem solved. And I was like, you, sir, are something else. Because that was delightful. And obviously then they get out of the car, and then her mum and dad are there, and he's like, God, she's such a klutz. She just dropped this whole bottle of water on me. And she was like, sure. So yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Had a great time. Okay, and then so finally, my final book and my favourite book of this month is Chasing the Fire by Paisley Hope. So like we said earlier, we were lucky enough to get a copy of this, a pre-copy at the Evermore Party. So for anyone that's read Freeing the Wild, you will know sort of how this Olivia and Asher situation comes together. So Olivia, she is kind of like the last one out of the whole friendship group to get with someone. So she's like watching everyone around her getting married and having babies and stuff like that. She's like, it's never going to happen for me. She's like a proper klutz as well. Like, she would just walk into a road without looking. Like, that sort of situation. Anyway, so she's at home. She's making, like, some cupcakes. And she just goes outside. She's like having a look around outside because she's just one with nature. And then her fire alarm starts going off. Basically, the whole kitchen goes up in flames. And then Asher turns up because he is the chief of the fire brigade. So he turns up.
Nice.
Yeah. So Asher actually works at... Who's your guy?
Nash Carter.
Yeah. So Asher works behind the bar at Nash's bar. but he's also chief of the fire brigade. So Ash has got about 8,000 jobs. Like, he does a lot of different things in this book, and I'm obsessed with him. Anyway, so he turns up. He's like, look, you are just very ditzy and you are very everywhere. And basically he's been looking out for her, which she doesn't realise for like the last few years. Like, he puts little coffees and cakes at her door, and like he does all these little things. And she kind of knew that he was doing it, but neither of them had ever said anything. Anyway, so he like looks out for her. It's all very cute. So then it's Ginger and Cole's wedding, and they're all there. They're all having a great time. And Asha and Olivia have been talking a lot. And when they get to the wedding, they're like, fuck it, let's just do it. So they go into the toilet. They end up doing bits. And then she gets pregnant. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. That's not a spoiler. The whole book is about her being pregnant. So then Asha just has to step up to the plate. Like, he's like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do this with you. He's like, but you're moving into my house. If we're doing this, you're moving into my house.
Nice, I love it.
And she's like, fine. Because her house is obviously half burnt down anyway. So she's like, fine. But there's like this scene, which I fucking loved. Her parents, so it's her adoptive parents, so they're very like, you need to be in love before anything happens. So she's got to go and tell them that she's pregnant. So they all go out for dinner, and Asha's at the bar. And the mum and dad, so I think the dad was at the bar as well. So the mum is like, well, do you want a glass of wine? And she's like, oh, no, I'm not going to drink today. And she was like, you're pregnant. She was like, well, I wasn't going to say anything. She's like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And he's like, is that the dad? She was like, yeah, but we are in love. So she lied and said, we are in love. Like, so it's all fine. So Asha comes back, and then both of the parents are like, oh, and you're in love, like saying all this stuff. And he's like looking at her like, what the fuck have I just walked into? Yeah. So then he like proper plays on it, and it is so funny because she's like, just like stop saying all those things, but he's like, yeah, she's gonna move in with me, with like, you know, like saying all of the words that parents would love. And she's like, you are literally making me want to die right now. And it was so good. So she ends up moving in with him, and then obviously things get hella spicy, but also there is like a few issues that happen on the way, and he's got a very, very dark past which actually comes back to haunt him, but not in like such a bad way. But yeah, it was just impeccable. Like, it is my favourite book. So even though Wade Ashby is still my ultimate book boyfriend, especially of that series, he is a very, very close second. Like, he's very much up there.
So is that your favourite?
Incredible.
Is that your favourite book in the series?
Yeah.
Story and book?
Yeah.
Wow.
And for someone that doesn't like the pregnancy trope, it was just done to utter perfection. And just like the characters, like the way that everyone from all the other books was in it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And she'd done, like, at the end, there's like this sentence. I won't say what it is, but it's basically talking about like everyone, and then it says something at the end sort of like, and that's what happens at Silver Pines. And literally I thought I was going to cry my eyes out. I was like,
I think that nearly made me cry now.
I was like, that's literally rounded up the whole thing so well. Yeah, it was really, really good. So yeah, I've put he's officially on my book boyfriends list, because that goes without saying. So he says to her a lot. So I'm going to go through my favourite scene because it was just so fucking good. He says to her a lot, eyes up here, or eyes on me. And he calls her a good girl a lot as well. So, and not even just when spicy things are happening. He will say it to her because obviously she's a klutz. So he's like, eyes here, look at me. Like, whenever something's going on. So, my favourite scene, I don't even know how they got into this position, but they was in his house and they're in front of the mirror. This is just after they tell each other that they love each other. And then she gets like this second wind, and she's like, I'm about to take control. So she says to him, so he's in front of the mirror and she's behind him, and she's like looking over his shoulder, and then she's like, eyes here, daddy. Right? Yeah! Eyes here, daddy. And then she says, now you spit, stroke yourself for me, Ash. Show me how you make yourself come when I'm not around. And obviously he did.
Bloody hell.
And then they did it. Honestly, there was so many scenes in this where I was sweating. Sweating. Because obviously, like, where she's pregnant, there wasn't a lot of spicy scenes.
Yeah.
But when it happened, I was like, okie dokie then. He is amazing. Let's get on to the big finale.
Okay, let's finish on Dagger fucking Mouth.
Yes, baby.
By HM Wolfe. I'm going to assume it's Wolf and not Wolfie. There's an E at the end, so apologies if that's not right. So, to start off with stars and chili peppers. I actually gave this 5.5 stars. Not quite 6, but it was definitely more than a 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't quite a 6. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was fucking amazing, and it was relentless. But I think, like, for me, I like 6-star reads to really emotionally get me going.
Yeah.
And emotionally, it wasn't really until the end, and there was only kind of like one specific thing that happened that sort of sparked the emotions, and then it was because there's so much going on, like straight after that there was something else that happened that made you go, ah, no way. So you didn't live in those emotions for very long. Anyway, that's my reasonings for not giving it a 6-star. However, it was very, very close. That is personal to me. Absolutely agree with anybody else that reads it and gives it 6 or infinity stars, whatever. Chili Peppers, I give it 2 to 2.5. There wasn't that many scenes, but the scenes that we did get were so good. It was probably more around the tension between them, because they are true enemies to lovers. Like, when I tell you that they are enemies, they are enemies. She is literally sent to kill him. And there is many scenes where they are physically fighting each other and hurting each other. And there's also one scene where he stabs her with a fork in the leg, and I was laughing so much because she takes it like a champ. Like, they are literally like the male and female version of each other.
Oh, that's good.
So they meet, and obviously they're like button heads and everything, but actually they're just so very alike, and they just slot together really well. So I don't want to spoil this, so I am going to try and be as clever as I can with a very basic rundown. I'm going to talk about the world first, because that is so important. It's integral to the story to understand how the world is set up. There's no map in the book. I'm hoping that maybe on some reprints or whenever it's, because I think it's being traditionally published now, that there hopefully will be some kind of map in there. I think that would be helpful just so we could visually see it. How I understood the world before I get into the rundown is everyone lives in these rings. So you've got the outer ring, the inner ring, and then the middle ring. So the outer ring is called the boundary, and that is where like the poor as shit people live. Like, they are so poor. And then you've got this like sort of like group of people that call themselves the Daggermouths. And then you have the cardinal ring, which is the inner ring, so the middle one if you wish. And then you've got the center, which is called the heart. And obviously it's in the center is the heart. It all fits. The heart is where the president lives with his family, and a member of his family is obviously his son, who is the heir. The son, Grayson, is also the executioner. So every day, Grayson basically, in the morning, comes on stage in front of everyone in the heart and executes somebody for very menial crimes. So whether that's like stealing bread to feed their families, because people from the cardinal and the boundary are not allowed in the heart. So they'll be like stealing bread, medical supplies. It's basically stuff to live. You're also not allowed to cross ring, fall in love. Someone from the heart isn't allowed to fall in love with someone from the cardinal and all that kind of stuff. That's punishable by death. So there's very, very, specific set rules, strict rules. It's very Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah.
Minus the actual games. So that's Grayson, the president. His dad is a royal CUNT. So he's one of the single worst characters I think I've ever read about in any book. He was awful. Oh my God, he was so awful. So awful. And then you have Shadira, who is a Daggermouth. Obviously, she's a female, and she's our FMC, and she is a contract killer. So she is hired by anyone who has these contracts, and the Daggermouths and the contracts are run by this sort of older man that she kind of views as a bit of a father figure. He's very scary, is feared by everybody. And he presents her these contracts. She doesn't know who took them out. Her job is to just go in, get the job done, and get out. And she's very good at it. She's basically an assassin. So her next contract comes up, and it is to kill Grayson, the heir. And obviously, she can't just walk into the heart. So she has to get through, like, tunnels and back doors and, and be clever about how she gets there. But, she's good at her job. So anyway, we end up in a situation where the two of them are in the same room together. He has ended up alone. He's about to get married to someone else against his will by his dad. He doesn't like his dad. He absolutely fucking hates him. And then Shadira turns up. She's in this room. She's like in the rafters, and then she comes out. Is that not the rafters? What's it called? The tunnels in those big American buildings. So she's in them, and then she comes out there. She takes the slot thing off, and then she just drops down into the room. And she's like, hey, bitch. No, she doesn't say that, obviously. But she jumps down into the room, and then it's just utter pandemonium from that point. Like, there's stabbing, there's shooting, and everything. And then basically, this is sort of all the start. And I won't tell you anything that happens after. But we get to the point where he is on his knees. Actually, before I go ahead, it's important to note that everyone in the heart has to, by law, wear a mask. You are not allowed to take your mask off unless it's the person that you have taken the vow with that you're married to. If you take your mask off and reveal your face to someone, you and that person who's seen you are to be executed. And that goes for everyone, including royals or, president and whatever. So anyway, we end up that he's on his knees, she's holding a gun to his head, and he basically takes his mask off. So they're still alone in this room at this point. He takes his mask off, he's holding it in his hand, and he's accepted his fate. Yeah. But like, he's just done with life. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep killing these people on the stage every day. She can see that he's like resigned to just accept the fate, and she's a bit like, no. This is not. You're not supposed to want to die. Yep. So she hesitates, and in that hesitation, that costs her everything, because then everyone storms into the room. The president comes in, and he's like, seize her, blah, 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 blah. So she gets taken away. Yeah. Down into dungeons or whatever. She's kept prisoner by the president, and then the son is then taken away, and the dads and the family are like, fuck, he literally took his mask off. Everybody knows, what are we going to do? Yeah. What are we actually going to do? Because I can't I'm not going to kill my son. Like, I need an heir. I'm not going to kill my son, no matter how much he hates him. So then a solution is proposed by the mother and the sister, and they're like, well, actually, if they take the vow and they get married, we don't have to kill him, Lordy. Because you can reveal your face to the person you're married to. And that was a loophole in the laws. So enter forced proximity. The dad makes them go and live together for like 5 days or something like that in Grayson's apartment. And oh my God, everything that happens after that is absolutely fucking insane. The side characters in this, phenomenal. Yep. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. The way this was written, it's in third person, the whole book. Genuinely, probably the best third person book I've ever read. Oh. It was the way it was written. You got so many people, so many different people's POV, obviously, but in third person, and you got to know all of the side characters so well. And there's a reason that you get to know them in their POVs, because it all ties up at the end. There is so many plot twists, so many twists and turns, and the plot twist right at the very end, the very last sentence, flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted. It ends on a cliffhanger. There's so many different other storylines, like his brother died ages ago, who used to be the executioner, but Grayson took over. That's a whole fucking storyline on its own, and that is absolutely insane. And then they do fight a couple of times and do physically hurt each other, and the scenes are just fucking great. Really great. And then the fork situation is they've gotten to know each other a little better by this point, and they have to go for dinner at the president's house, I think the day before they take the vow. And he basically says to her, don't react to anything he says. He wants to see how far he can push us. Do not react. So they're sitting at the dinner table, and the dad is like, he's giving it everything to try and push her buttons and everything. So she starts biting back a little bit. So, and he's like getting angry as well about the whole situation. So he takes his fork and he's like squeezing it under the table. And then eventually he just like stabs her in the leg with the fork, as if to be like, shut the fuck up. Literally shut up. So like stabs her in the leg, and she's like, and like pulls it out of her leg. And then they just make a joke about it later on. And she's like, you fucking stabbed me in the leg with a fork. That hurt worse than if you'd stabbed me with a knife. And then they just make a joke about it. I loved the hate banter. Like, and just how, she was like equally as strong as he was, and she gave as good as she got. Like, it was honestly fucking phenomenal. I went in completely blind. Yeah. I didn't know anything about it. And obviously, if you're listening to this, you've obviously heard that now, so you can't go in completely blind. But when I tell you that the story is so much more than what I have just given you, even though I gave you a lot, it is so much more. And it's obviously the first in a series. I don't know if it's a duet or longer, but I don't know when the next book is out either. I've no idea. I haven't looked, but I can't wait for the next one. It does end on a cliffhanger. I think that's important to mention. And the spices, it is great. There's one scene where they finally just, they've been really pushing each other's buttons. I tell you what it's like. It is like Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets The Hunger Games, and it is very much Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes. Yeah. Absolutely, it is, where they're fighting against each other, but they're obviously very attracted to it, and they're both obviously really fucking hot. And they end up clashing one night, and it just, when it just gets, the flames are burning too hot. And then they just come together, and it is like a fuck it moment. And then they're going for it, and his fingers are in places and everything, and he tries to pull her trousers down, and then something happens in that scene that just ruins the scene. So you think you're finally getting it, and then it stops, and you're like, oh my god. It's honest, it's so much more.
I really need to read it. It is
so much more than what I've said. Like, everything's like replaying in my head. It's insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm quite parched now. We've been talking for so long.
Partage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Well, actually, that's not as bad as I thought. That's everything from this week. What's our next podcast? Get to know us.
And Zodiac.
That's going to be rough, getting that done in time. We're going to try. The Get to Know Us one will be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Get to Know Us one.
Yeah, we put something up on stories today on Instagram asking people to ask us questions that we can answer in the pod, and some of the questions that have come through already.
They're really good.
Oh my God, they're so fucking good.
Really,
so
really
I cannot
good.
wait to answer them. So obviously some are book related, some are personal, which is absolutely fine. We don't mind answering either of them. Okay, we'll see you in the Get to Know Us.
Woohoo!
If you tune in. Cheers.
Cheers.